What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of TLG Live. I'm Jon Nieh, one of the founding partners of Trowbridge Law Group, and today I am going to be talking about how big the private placement market is. Talk about some numbers. I love numbers. Don't you like numbers? So every year, the SEC's Office of the Advocate for Small Business Capital Formation, that is a mouthful, every year they put together a report that talks about the data for the previous year, how much money was raised, under which exemptions were they raised. It's basically to give you an idea of how healthy capital markets are, um, private markets versus public markets, the industries, how much money they're raising. Um, it's a pretty cool report. Anyways, this year the report just came out, or we just got access to it. It covers the time period of July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. So a good portion of it, 4 or 5 months was during COVID, right? So this report is focused on at the beginning of COVID, really, what was happening to small business capital formation. How were companies raising money in the beginning portion of COVID? How were they facing and overcoming those obstacles? Anyways, let's get into it. So numbers, we can talk about the numbers, and then I'll talk about the numbers for the previous year, and we could kind of discuss some of the changes and maybe predict what might be happening, or what happened, I guess, or is currently happening in 2020 to 2021. So if you look at overarching numbers and divide it into private offerings versus public offerings for that time period, private offerings, so basically a public offering is companies that are raising money on the stock market, right? So if your securities are publicly available, anyone can invest in it. There's high liquidity usually, so investors can sell their securities on secondary market. That's what public refers to usually. Private is, securities are only available to a certain select group of investors. And typically there isn't really a secondary market for your securities. So investors, they have to hold on to those securities for a set amount of time. So in 2019 to 2020, there was approximately 1.7 trillion with a T dollars raised in private markets. In public markets in the same time period, there was approximately $1.6 trillion raised. So 1.7 in private, 1.6 public. It's almost 50-50, but it is interesting how there's more money raised privately than there is publicly, which you don't really hear about, right? Everyone talks about the stock market, how markets are doing. So it's interesting that there's actually more money being raised privately. Specifically speaking, within the private market, though, the vast majority of that $1.7 trillion is raised under Rule 506B. You know what 99% of our clients are doing? Okay, I know you don't like 506B. So 99% of our clients are raising money under 506B, so it makes sense that it follows the general trends. Most of the private money raised is under 506B. 1.4 trillion. That's insane. You look at the other types of offerings, under Rule 506C, only $69 billion was raised under 506C. I mean, that's still a ton of money, 69 billion. And in fact, that's more than I would have thought, because not that many people are using 506C, but it's still $69 million, or 69 billion, sorry. Regulation A, about $1.3 billion was raised under Regulation A, and then regulation crowdfunding about $88 million. So you can see 506B is this huge number. 506C is a little bit smaller, even smaller still, regulation A, and then tiny amount is regulation crowdfunding. But I think what's more important is, looking at trends, right? So in the previous time period, so 2018 to 2019, 506B was about the same, actually $1.4 trillion. So not much has changed under 506B. But 506C actually, in 2018 to 2019, $210 billion was raised under 506C versus 2019 to 2020, they're only 69 billion. So it went from 210 billion down to 69 billion. So fewer people are using 506C, I guess. And one of the reasons maybe why is because of the increase in regulation A. So it's possible that more people are choosing to do a regulation A offering versus a 506C offering. And that's illustrated by the fact that in 2018, 2019, only $800 million was raised under Reg A, at which, that number increased in 2019, 2020 to 1.3 billion. So that is a difference of about $500 million. That still doesn't account for the huge drop off in 506C offerings. So what's going on? Maybe people just don't like to use 506C. It is, a little bit of a hassle for issuers to verify accredited investors. But with that recent change, I talked about last week, the recent change about verification, that you can now rely on an investor's representation, that they're still accredited. So you verify them the first time, and then as long as they sign something that says I'm still accredited, you can do that for 5 years out. That went into effect a couple weeks ago. So maybe that's gonna encourage more people to do 506C offerings, but we'll see. And then lastly, regulation crowdfunding. So in 2018 to 2019, there was only $54 million raised in Reg CF versus 2019 to 2020, $88 million was raised. So Reg CF also increased. So to recap, Reg CF and Reg A have been increasing, or did increase from 2018 to 2020. I know. 506B remained the same. 506C took a nosedive. So that's interesting. Obviously the SEC has been trying to encourage more people to use Reg A and Reg CF. So maybe that's why we've had more time to kind of see how things have been playing out with offerings. So will that keep happening? Will that trend keep happening this year, or I guess in 2021? Who knows? We'll see. I think the next report is really going to show the effect that COVID had, really, because this report, it only covered until June 30th, 2020, which is only a few months into COVID. So, but that's probably the first, the first few months were the worst months. So, maybe that, maybe the next report won't have that big of a change, but we won't know until we get it. So hopefully, cross my fingers, it comes out sooner because it kind of sucks waiting, 6 months, almost a year to get these numbers to look at stuff. But anyways, that's about all I have. I know Nori wants to talk about her toy. So, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed looking at. Hope you guys enjoyed looking at those numbers. I find them interesting. Today is Thursday, so we got another episode of TLG Talks. Jean today is interviewing my former mentor, Amy Wan. I actually met Jean through Amy. She was the general counsel at Patch of Land. I worked there in law school as a legal intern, and Amy introduced me to Jean. So I definitely owe her a lot, and I'm looking forward to that interview because I think it's going to be very different from the normal interviews that Gene does. So that's going to be exciting. So tune in today at noon for that. I think we just announced our next Rookies Camp is coming up in April, April 20th and 22nd, I believe. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah, 20th and 22nd is our next Rookie Camp. So if you missed out on the last one, you better sign up. Go to our website right now, trowbridgelawgroup.com. Click the shop button and you can sign up for Rookie Camp. If you have any questions, reach out to us here on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Schedule a consultation with me. I love those. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.